The Ronin is a hard hitter, but that would be an understatement. He just shreds anything that comes in his way, and that with style. But wait a moment. At this point, I just want to say thanks to all of you for your great support to my channel and already 500 subscribers and counting. I really appreciate this and enjoy being part of this community. All right, let's have some fun with this build. Even if we are going to destroy bosses in under 40 seconds, this is also probably the best ad clearer, and that for all worlds in the game. So for the boss fights, we are going to apply 4 stacks of corrosion in total to give the Tainted Blade Mutator a nasty 80% increase in damage. Paired with the boars and all the other gear, this results in some serious damage, no matter the boss even has a weak spot or not. No worries. We will fully break down the build later in the video, and going through all the mechanics in detail. That was about 34 seconds. And just to keep in mind, all footage is always on the Apocalypse difficulty. The whirlwind attack from the Spectral Blade has an insane AoE range, so you keep hitting bosses even when they are out of bounds. If you like this video and what I'm doing here, maybe consider giving it a like and subscribe to my channel to stay updated about the latest content. It needs some practice to neutral dodge and use the backdash evade attack from Whirlwind, but it is so much fun to play with. Have you seen this? Almost the whole area cleared with one strike. That is pure satisfaction, guys. Not gonna lie. I'll keep the comments to a minimum from now. Just enjoy the fights. As said, build breakdown later on the video. It took me a while to keep those boars land on the Nightweaver, but it's doable. It just shows what you can do with that build, but you also can play much more conservative. Not too bad at all. This is really my favorite build by now, as I enjoy clearing the worlds with ease and not have to worry about anything. It's just a fun maker. Last but not least, the Ravager, just to show that the build can handle almost anything. Maybe you have noticed, not only that the bores give a separate weak spot each, you still do the base damage to the target as well. So that's basically up to 5 hits with 1 whirlwind. And of course also the dots. That's how we even can beat this boss in 39 seconds. Before we start with the build breakdown, I want to give a shout out to the new Remnant 2 Toolkit website, where you can put your builds together and share them wherever you want. This is not a paid ad or something. It is just a great service I would love to see getting more attention, so we all can use it further and help improving it. This build and all variations of it are linked down in the description to the Remnant 2 Toolkit website. So let's start with the archetypes. As for the primary, we use Ritualist. The prime perk Vile gives a bit of DOT damage boost, but also spreads all negative status effects to nearby enemies, which is pretty useful when ad clearing, as we are going to see later. The damage perk Wrath gives a decent damage boost of 20% and some really nice 10% critical chance. On the team perk Terrify, we only really need the 5% decrease in damage dealt from enemies. But the skill Miasma is really key on this build. Not that it applies another stack of corrosion, to which we come later. It also adds bleeding to targets, which will be highly needed, and 2 more dots, which the main variant of this build will highly get damage from. For the secondary archetype Challenger, we have the pretty handy damage perk Close Quarters, which will get its full 35% damage increase almost all the time, as we are standing very close to enemies. And also, some additional 10% critical chance. But what really hurts is the Juggernaut skill. This one gives us some nasty 50% in melee damage increase, and also 3 stacks of Bulwark, and 15% increase in movement and melee speed. Before you think, please not again some hardcore items. There are different variants of this build linked down in the description. One of them without these items. So let's get quickly through the trinkets. The Abrasive Whetstone will increase the critical chance by 15% and critical damage by 30%, as we will have the bleeding effect up all the time. The Farron Sigil will give us the mod power regeneration we need to keep the bores up and running. This ring is a bit special. Even if it's absolutely key, there is a different variant of this build without needing it. But having infinite stamina is just top-notch. You can add 10 points to Barkskin if you want to lower the damage taken, of course. I really don't like to have too much things in the rotation when in a boss fight. The Timekeeper's Jewel helps in keeping that to a minimum. Not only that it increases all our dots to a 40 seconds duration, it will also make sure we can keep up Miasma all the time. And here is the hardcore item. The Ahani Crystal will increase all damage by 20%, as we will have all 4 negative status effect on a target. But these 20% are not like the others. This is multiplicative, not additive. This means it will add the damage on top of everything else that increased the damage so far. That is really strong. For the secondary gun, we just need the Bore Mutator to apply multiple weak spots to an enemy. If we are fast enough, there can be up to 4 bores at the same time, which all takes damage simultaneously when using Whirlwind. And for the mod, we can use Spirit Healer or Prophecy. Feedback would also do a good job. And here it is, the Ronin's weapon of choice, the Spectral Blade. The Whirlwind attack is where the magic in this build comes from. Paired with Tainted Blade, it gives us a total of 80% in damage increase due to the 4 stacks of corrosion on a target. Not forget that targets affected by this also will have a 10% increased chance to receive a critical hit. And for the primary gun, we just used the Corrosive Rounds mod and the Fetid Wounds Mutator to apply 2 stacks of corrosion at once. The weapon itself doesn't really matter. It also doesn't matter which relic you use on this build. I just prefer the Tranquil Heart due to his pretty nice passive health regeneration bonus. For the fragments, we go with melee critical chance, melee critical damage, and weak spot damage. And yes, the weak spot damage fragment also works with the whirlwind and boars. Of course, you can choose whatever armor you want, but the look of the Navigator's helm, paired with the Technician body and leg armor, looks so badass. To get near to the maximum weight and get some extra armor, I also added the Leto Mark I gloves, which also suit the look. There is a lot of room for your own preferences on the traits. I will just mention the key ones for this build. As you highly rely on the backdash evade attack, having a 30% increased evade window really helps not to take a hit while you do. Having 20% more mod power generation will give us the mods back faster, so we can apply the boars more frequent. Same goes for the skill cooldown. It is needed to keep up miasma all the time, and also to use the challenger skill more often. Arcane Strike will have the biggest impact for getting our mod power back, as we mainly do melee damage. And this trait is by far the most important. Resonance extends the range of our whirlwind attack, which will make the hits land from much further. To get some survivability, the 3% lifesteal are pretty decent, as we do some really high damage all the time. Just as a reminder, don't hesitate to experiment, to find out what works best for you and what suits your playstyle. That is what, in my opinion, makes this game such a great experience. So I really hope you enjoyed the video and could get something from it. Make sure you check the description for all the build variants as discussed. And if you have any questions or thoughts, let me know in the comments. Oh, and by the way, I will occasionally stream, and if you need help with a run or just want to ask me something, let me know in the live chat. I will announce it usually by making a post on my channel. Take care, guys, and see you next time. Cheers.